Well, it's 6 o'clock. I say we go ahead and start. My name is Tracy Moore, and I'm the chair of music theater in the theater division of the Hartt School. And I have some wonderful guests that I brought with me. I'd like to introduce Lucy Rhodes. She's a senior and a music theater major. And next to her is Jacob Green, who is also a senior music theater major. And Eliana Taroni is here, and she is also a senior music theater major. Now, I invited Tommy Bergeron, and I don't know, he may show up later, so we'll have to see if he does. I want to also introduce Chris Rizzio, and Chris is in our admissions office for the Hartt School, and Robin James, and Robin works in admissions for the whole university. So we're pretty confident that we can answer your questions here today. And we also want to try to give you a little flavor of what the Hartt School is like, and that's why I brought along these wonderful people. So the Hartt School is a school of performing arts that is located within the University of Hartford, and it has 3 divisions. It has a theater division, a dance division, and a music division. So both actor training, which is a BFA in acting, and music theater training, which is a BFA in music theater, they're both in the theater division. So our students take some classes together and some classes separately, and there's a separate curriculum for both programs. And the actor training program is balanced in between voice training, movement training, and acting training. And the music theater program is balanced between music training, which includes singing and theory and piano, and actor training, and movement training, which for music theater students takes the form of ballet, tap, and jazz. There's also a movement class that the BFA music theater students take, and the actor training students also take a year of music theater chorus. So there is some overlap between the two. I want to let you talk to these 3 wonderful people. Maybe they could talk a little bit about how their experience has been and why they chose Hartt. And then I also would love for them to talk a little bit about what they're currently working on, because we have kind of some special stuff happening right now with our productions. So I'm gonna turn it over to, let's start with Lucy and Jacob, and then Eliana can go after that. And as they're talking, if you have any questions, we would love it if you could put it in the Q&A box. That's down at the bottom, it says Q&A. So just click on that and type it in, and either we'll answer the question now, or maybe we'll answer it a little later when we go to talk about auditions and pre-screens and callbacks and all that other good stuff. But I'm going to turn it over to Lucy and Jacob.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucy. That's Jacob. We're quarantine buddies. So I chose to go to the Hartt School mostly because it was rooted in acting. I feel like a lot of musical theater programs that I looked at sort of washed over acting or had acting for musical theater as if it's a completely different concept, which to me was a little confusing because I'm like, isn't acting just kind of universal? Like theater acting and film acting obviously are different, but yeah, so I really liked how some of the acting classes we get to take are with the theater majors. So that's a really cool experience. And also we have the opportunity to audition for the actor training plays as well, which is something that a lot of programs don't do. So that was really intriguing for me because I grew up a dancer and I grew up a singer, but it's in college, one of my big things that I wanted to hone in was my acting.
I chose the Hartt School because, ironically enough, my parents went to the University of Hartford way back in the 90s. They weren't in the Hartt School. My dad was a psychology major, and my mom transferred when my dad proposed to her and they moved down to Florida.
Jacob, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I initially applied to the University of Hartford kind of as a homage to my parents. But then the more I looked into the school, I found out how brilliant it was. And what did it for me, why I chose Hartt, is because when I went into the audition, Tracy, who's right here running this meeting, Ralph Perkins, who's the head of dance for the theater division, and Alan, who used to be chair or head of the theater department but recently retired, I knew that there was a level of accountability there, that they weren't going to let me dwindle by, that they were upfront and personal, they were direct. I knew what the expectations would be, and there was this level of trust and this desire to push me. Even in my audition, Tracy came up to me and was quizzing me on different music theory things, asking me to sing this backwards. Ralph got in my face and yelled at me for jumping into a table accidentally because there were too many people in the room. I knew that there was a level of fun, a level of trust, and a level of creation that I think was unparalleled in all of the other of my audition experiences.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite auditions too. It was
Yeah.
a really memorable audition, which was a big thing for me as well.
Thank you so much. I don't remember getting in your face, but I probably did. I'd like to introduce Eliana Taroni.
Hi, I'm Eliana. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Lucy about the acting thing. For me, that was also a huge selling point. I mean, it's so important to actually be grounded in that art, and so to push it off to the side is just not ever going to be beneficial. And then for me, also, the atmosphere of the students and the uplifting nature of everyone was a huge thing for me. It really felt like a family environment, and it still does. Like, I definitely didn't get the wrong read on that. And that just inspired me and made me want to work harder, just seeing all these wonderful people around me, and it still does, like, every single day. So yeah.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. And I promise I did not pay them to say those nice things. So I would love it if you could talk a little bit about the projects that you're working on, because I know we're doing 4 music theater, I'm going to call them projects, but there are productions this year, and you 3 are each in 3 different ones. And if Tommy shows up, he's in the 4th one. But could you each talk about how that's going and who the directors are and how that's all progressing?
Hi. So what I'm doing this semester is a Zoom cabaret, which is super interesting because I was wondering how is Hartt going to do main stage productions, in this format, and we ended up doing a cabaret that is based on a theme, and we're each individually filming our pieces, and we're collaborating with Michael O'Flaherty, who is a really phenomenal person to know and to work with and to have on our resumes. He has multiple Broadway credits. He works at Good Speed Musicals, which is another perk of Hartt. We get to work. We'll get to that later. But he's a fantastic person to know, and he actually arranged music for me personally. So to have Michael O'Flaherty arrange a solo song for me in my key, that's such a insanely cool thing that I'm experiencing in this format that I otherwise wouldn't have experienced, and I'm really loving it, and it's really cool. I'm excited to see how everyone else's pieces come together for that.
And what is the theme of your piece, of your cabaret?
So when Michael told us the first time, he goes, the theme of our cabaret is things that are wet. And then we just sit in silence for like 5 minutes. We're like, excuse me? but it's about things that are wet. So like rivers, I'm singing about coffee and tea and tears and just anything that is liquid.
My project is a little, well, I wouldn't say less abstract, but abstract in a different way. I'm in what is called the Crafters Project, and what that is it was either last year or the year before, Clay Zombo, who is one of our coaches, our vocal coach who coaches repertoire and audition technique, and you, Tracy, will get into more about what coaches do if you have a question. He created a class for musical theater composition, which is a perfect class to have at a musical theater program, because where the future generation of writers, where do you think they're going to come from? So to have that collaboration is really key. Their class unfortunately got interrupted, as did all of us, by COVID, so they didn't get to see their pieces come to fruition. So I applaud Tracy and Bob and all the other theater division for taking the music theater composition class and making it a production. So there's 4 or 5 composer, one of them,
Right.
yeah. So there's 4 composer lyricists who had different assignments in their class, whether it be to parody a pre-existing musical theater song or to master an AABA song form, different benchmarks of musical theater composition. And so our music director is Clay, who was the professor of that class, and our director's name is Kyra Selman. She's from Los Angeles, and one of the fun things about being on Zoom is that someone in LA can be directing us in Hartford, which builds the connection, thousands of miles away across the country, because when she puts her name on this, I'm sure she has friends and contacts that are going to want to watch and see what she's done. And it's another pair of eyes, a fresh perspective. Someone who's never walked foot in our building gets to shake things up with us and gets a fresh look at who we all are as an ensemble. And so we've been split into casts. There's groups of 3 or 4 per composer. We're learning their music right now, which has been a lot of fun. We're evolving the pieces with them. Pieces have been thrown out. We've only been rehearsing for 2 weeks. Some pieces have been thrown out. We've gotten new lyrics. I got a new song last night that I have to go rehearse for in an hour. So, you start to get a sense of what musical theater workshopping is really like. And it's great fun. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
I can't wait. I thought the projects they're so interesting and different. So very excited about that. All right, Eliana, talk about Snow.
Yeah, so I'm in Snow, which is a show written by Sean Hartley. And we actually met him on a Zoom call and we talked to him about what inspired his writing and everything like that. And it's awesome. He wrote the music and the lyrics as well. And he gave us permission to do some script revisions if we felt like it. So it's been really cool to kind of workshop a script as well. And then the way we're doing it actually is we're filming everything separately, and they sent us mics and stuff. So it's going to be kind of like a little film type of deal, which is really cool because we're kind of getting this taste in film acting as well, and like shots and learning about acting on film, which is completely different, but it's a really great experience. And yeah, it's just been cool to learn music I've never heard before instead of listening to a cast recording or something like that, just doing everything completely from scratch. It's been really rewarding so far, and I'm really excited to see what the finished product is going to be like.
I am too. I can't wait till it's all put together. So I want to talk just a little bit about the curriculum, but there is a question here first, and I want to take advantage of having these students here. If you have questions for them, please put them in the Q&A. So here is one from a young woman that I actually met in like August. She was part of the My College audition group that came out of Boston. And she said, a question for the students: how is the faculty helping you figure out what direction you want to go in and what your next steps will be after graduation? And of course, we've just started this journey and you haven't had career prep yet, but maybe you could talk about that. And then there's another question about, will we be able to watch the programs online? And we are not quite sure yet. So I have to put a question mark on that one because I'm not quite sure if that's going to be possible or not. But anyway, why don't you answer the question about career stuff?
Career stuff. Well, right now it's super weird because our entire industry is not existing. But that being said, we're working within those parameters, which is, for me personally, a time of great confusion and question marks. And it's nice to still be in school and actually have some guidance on that. So now's the time we're really working on having self-tapes, having websites. We're obviously branching out and meeting some really great people through our projects and various other things. I don't know.
I would say that one thing that Hartt does especially well for preparing you for a career outside of your college time is Tracy has tirelessly worked to get a bunch of summer stock auditions. This is in the normal world. I'd say this past year we had a dozen different summer stock companies. She brought in Norwegian Cruise Line, if I remember, some cruise line. She brings in these amazing people, and they audition us for summer stock. So, we're putting our foot out into the real world, and that's happening at Hartt. We also have partnerships with Hartford Stage, Theater Works, Goodspeed, that also, like Lucy was saying about Michael O'Flaherty, who was the music director there for, I would say, a few decades. It's meeting people like that. It's getting in the room with people of that nature, getting their names on our resume and branching out from there. And a lot of professors either are artistic directors at their own theaters or are on artistic staff at certain theaters. Like my sophomore year, got to be in a concert version of West Side Story because one of the voice faculty members is the executive artistic director of her own theater. And now I have an amazing credit on my resume. I worked with a conductor with the Norwalk Symphony Orchestra, and now I'm friends with him on Facebook, and it's the little things that add up.
Same. We also, both of us got to work. An opportunity that Tracy presented us with was working with the Hartford Symphony Orchestra and some people over there, and that's a great connection to have. Great people to know who we're still friends with on Facebook. I'm still friends with people on Facebook from summer stock auditions this season. It's great, and we get to see what they're up to. They get to see what we're up to. Some guest directors that are brought in for main stages are people in the industry who are great to know. Dan Mackey, one of our alum who was in Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway, he was telling me about his audition experience, and he said, at a certain point in his callbacks, he actually knew someone in the room from Goodspeed, a program that he got to do through Hartt. So that's actually a great thing. Knowing someone in the room at a Broadway audition who's behind the table is a great thing, So it's really cool to get out there, meet people who are professional in the industry, and they guide you as much as your professors.
So Eliana, did you want to add to that, or may I jump in and talk about some other stuff? I don't want to cut you off if you had something to say.
Oh, no, you're fine. You can jump in.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple more questions here, but I think it might be a good time to talk a little bit, just briefly, about the curriculum, and then talk about audition stuff, because there's some questions coming in about auditions. So the way that our program works is that classes are what we call sequential, meaning you have to take acting 1 before you can take acting 2 before you take acting 3, and so on. But you're engaged in some form of an acting class every semester. If you're a music theater student, you have a voice lesson every semester, and that is included in your tuition. I know some schools, they charge extra for that. We do not. It is a 55, that's almost an hour lesson, and that's all 4 years. In addition, in the sophomore year, we add a half-hour coaching. So in your lessons, you're working on technique and some repertoire, and you're getting ready for juries and that kind of thing. And in your coaching, you're working on the repertoire, so you might work on jury material, but you also might get ready for an audition, something like that. So in addition to that, the music theater students take some theory and ear training, and they take some piano and the acting, which I already mentioned. And then they also take some dance, which I would love for the three of you to talk about. There's a question here that says, as more of a strong mover opposed to being a trained dancer, would you say performers entering the program leave with good dance knowledge? Also, do you need a strong dance background to be considered for acceptance? So ponder that question for just a second. And if there's anyone out there that's interested in the actor training program, I'll just say that, as I said, it's a mix of acting training, voice training, and a very intense 8 semesters of movement training. You also get some ballet, and you do get that music theater chorus. Now, one thing that sets Hartt apart from other programs is that in the senior year, the actor training students and some music theater students, hey, Tommy, the ATs, as we call them, which are the actor trainers, and the MTs, the music theater trainers, you get to have a professional experience. So while you're in school, you're getting a professional credit for your resume. So for the actor trainers, it's a production with Hartford Stage. And for the music theater students, you spend 2 weeks at Goodspeed doing their Festival of New Musicals, along with new writers and New York City directors and music directors. In addition, there's some other experiences that pop up. I know Lucy and Jacob, you've both done the Music Directors Initiative. Eliana, have you ever done that? Did you do that one year? Okay. And then, as I said, some of the music theater students do get to perform at Hartford Stage. So let us have some talk about the dance program and how that all works, and then I'll ask the next question.
As someone who didn't come in with a lot of dance background myself, I feel like a completely different dancer and mover now, and I feel like I know so much, and just having the ballet, jazz, tap, like just everything that I've learned has definitely like come together, especially this year. I like look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm completely different than I was in the audition room. And yeah, I mean, like my audition, there's no way it was that strong for dance. Like, don't worry too much about it. Just do your best, because your best is definitely going to be enough.
Tommy, I didn't get a chance to introduce you, but Tommy Bergeron is a junior in the music theater program, and I saw you nodding. Do you want to talk a little about your growth as a dancer?
Yeah, kind of the same thing as Eliana. I came in here, I was not a dancer, but through our classes and stuff and jazz and tap and ballet, I feel way more confident to go into an audition room and even tap and sing or dance. Really leaps and bounds before I came in here, so yeah.
Now, Lucy and Jacob, I would consider that you both came in very strong dancers. So would you like to talk about your experience coming in with a lot of dance training?
Sure. Actually, what popped to my mind was I have helped Ralph run dance auditions in the past, and one thing that I have noticed is Ralph takes note of people who are clearly not dancers who are trying really hard. He admits, that's what I want to work with. This is a person who might not have it right now, but they're gonna get it. Whereas sometimes people will just give up and get frustrated and stop trying in the audition room. And a lot of times Ralph will run his dance auditions like a class. You know, we'll start with ballet bar, we'll do a little warm up, and he watches you through all of that. So if you're dedicated to trying really hard, he really notices that just as much as he notices perfect technique.
Yeah, and I would say that it's certainly an attitude thing over the course of your dance training at Hartt. And I saw in the Q&A, I hope I'm not overstepping by answering this, but I saw someone asked if you could be bumped up if you already have dance training. Ralph, on your first day of classes, does a mini audition once everyone's been accepted to sort of do placements, and there are freshmen in Jazz 4 and freshmen in Jazz 3 or Tap 4, you know. Ralph and Tracy are committed to putting you where you need to be to continue to grow. So don't feel like you're going to come in and then have to stand at a ballet bar with someone who's never even put on ballet shoes before. You're going to be where you need to be, and you'll continue to grow.
I should also say that we have a partnership with the dance division, so that if you are very advanced, particularly in ballet, there is the option that sort of after you go through all of the music theater ballet classes, you could be considered for a ballet class in the dance division. It's kind of a cooperative thing that we have there. So someone asked, are there placement auditions for dance? Yes, there absolutely are. In the first week of school, you will get placed where you need to be. And like the student said, that could be at any level. Okay, so here's a question. Are students allowed to audition for both the music theater and acting programs? The answer is yes, you can. So that's the answer to that. And can you have a minor as an actor training student? And the answer to that is yes, you can actually have a minor. Do any of you all have minors in addition to the music theater program, or have you not done that? So you can have a minor as both an AT, actor trainer, or MT, music theater trainer. The only things you cannot minor in are music and dance. And that is because both of those minors, not only does the dance minor require an audition, but they also have performance requirements, and unfortunately their schedule of performances conflicts with our schedule, and you can't be in two places at the same time. But we've had students minor in lots of different things. Double majoring is really tricky in 4 years. If you want a double major, I would say it's probably going to take you 5 years. I know Paige just graduated with a double major in music theater and psychology. She did it in 4 years, but it took her every single summer she took classes and every single winter term she took classes. So you can do it, but it is not easy. Okay, as an AT, how could I pick up any additional dance or voice opportunities or classes? So there are ATs who choose to take private lessons. And we have a couple of teachers that love working with the actor trainers. So when you come to school, you would just tell me you're interested in that, and I would help you get that started. And dance classes, there are dance classes available as long as your schedule allows. And that's the tricky thing, is you're very, very busy, but we do have a number of students who continue to take jazz and tap and ballet during their time here as actor trainers. Winter term is the period of time from basically after Christmas, so like January 2nd or whatever, until classes resume in the spring. So it's like, help me out here, Chris. It's like early January to,
Yeah, it might start late December even and
yeah,
go through
okay.
mid-January. It's like
Very
a
cool.
4 or 5 week term, I believe.
All right. So that's a little bit about curriculum and our special association with Hartford Stage and Goodspeed. There's a question here about what is the senior showcase like? And of course, none of you have done it yet, but have you ever come to see the showcase? Have you ever observed it? I don't know if you've ever come to see our showcase. No? So for showcase, we do a presentation in New York, and we do usually during spring break, and we invite both casting offices and agent offices to come and watch our students perform. And the only reason I'm a little hesitant is because I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do this year. Just because of COVID and because of Broadway's shutdown, we're looking into some other possibilities. We will definitely do something that is industry related, that is industry connected, but I'm not 100% sure what it's going to look like. We're sort of waiting to see what happens in New York. So that will definitely happen. Something will happen, just not exactly sure what. And then there's a question here, maybe Chris, you can answer. It says, when you apply for the Hartt School, how long should it be? And I'm thinking you mean how long should it be till you hear back? Is that what you mean? Or I'm not sure about that question. So if you want to ask that again, we can try to answer it. Okay, so at this point, I'd love to turn it over to Chris and your slideshow, and then maybe we can answer a few more questions as they pop up. Yes?
Absolutely, that sounds
Okay.
great.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Rizzio. Like Tracy said, I'm Assistant Director of Admission for the Hartt School. Thank you so much again for joining us tonight, and thank you again to our students also for joining us. It's really fantastic having current students talk at these, I think. So thank you for taking time out of your crazy busy schedules. So I just wanted to go over a little bit of information about the audition and admission process specifically for theater students this year. So if we're ready to be bold, we will get started, as this is saying. Hopefully everybody can see my PowerPoint right now. Okay, so this year we have a pre-screen process, right, for the music theater program specifically. Now, the first step before anything is that I recommend that you start filling out your application to the University of Hartford. That's really step one. And there are two options to do that. You can use our own internal application on the university's website, which can be found just by going to hartford.edu/admission. You can also use the common application, which I know a lot of students might be using to apply to, multiple schools at once, all of that sort of thing. So either of those is fine. You can do whichever one you most prefer. The next step would be to complete and upload your pre-screen video. So there are a few ways to do this as well. And Tracy, feel free to interrupt me or add if I'm missing anything. Absolutely.
No, this is great. Just in case people are applying to other programs, we are using the common pre-screen requirements.
Right.
So if you're preparing stuff for other programs, it's probably going to be a good fit with what we're looking for as well. 2
Right.
songs, 1 monologue for music theater, and then a dance video, and then a wild card, which might be if you play the saxophone, or if you're a really great tapper and you want to show us that, or you do acrobatics. And then for the actor training program, it's 2 monologues. And then for both of those processes, there'll be a callback.
Right. So you can upload your pre-screen again into your university portal if you're applying through that, or you can also use Get Accepted, which I know a lot of students are using as well. The asterisk there is because Accepted does charge a fee directly, but we do not. So if you apply and send everything directly through University of Hartford, there's no fee for that. So definitely keep in mind the pre-screen deadline of December 15th of this year. So there's still plenty of time, but just kind of keep that on the back of your minds as you're preparing all of this this stuff for everybody, right? And then you'll be notified about a callback. So if you pass your pre-screen, you will be invited to a callback with our theater faculty, and that's planning to be done virtually in the spring semester, basically in January, February, and possibly early March. Now, there are some additional materials that you have to upload to us along with your audition videos and pre-screen videos. There is a Hartt School specific essay, and all of this can be found on our website if you want more information and need the details for that. So there's a Hartt essay, there's a resume requirement, as well as a headshot, artistic letters of recommendation, and then of course your academic records as well, which you need to be accepted to the university. If there's any, maybe I'll stop quickly. Maybe there's some questions that need answering. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, let me just answer a few of these questions real quick. So as far as a dance component to the live callback, when we notify you about your callback, we will probably send you a list of things that we might want to see. So we might say, oh, we want to see, you know, a plie and a grand plie. We might say we want to see, you know, a roll down or some kind of extension or some flexibility exercise, but we'll let you know. There will not be a dance video that you have to learn from. It'll just be isolated items. If you're auditioning for both AT and MT, yes, you need to submit 2 applications. Isn't that right, Chris? I want to make sure I'm saying that right.
Typically, yes.
Yes, I think we need 2 applications, but someone asked, can you use the same monologues? And the answer is yes. So one of your monologues you could use for music theater, and then for your actor training audition, you could use that same music theater monologue plus 1 more.
Tracy, can I just,
Yeah.
real quick, we actually don't want 2 applications because the students can only have 1 through the system. So they'll have 1 application, and then if you are looking to apply to another program, so if you apply for AT and also want MT, we're just asking that they email Hartt Admission to let them know, and then we can deal with that on our end.
Okay,
Sorry,
but let me
yes,
be
thank
really
you.
clear. Okay, that's cool, but they need to do 2 different auditions.
Correct. Yep. So what we'll do is then reach out to them with the audition materials that they need to submit, but there's only 1 application.
Cool. So 1 application, 2 auditions. So someone said, can you use the Common App but use your university portal for the pre-screen materials?
Yes. So if you're using Common App, it will automatically translate into our university system once you submit it through the Common App. So you'll still get a portal login once you submit it, and then you can upload your materials just like you would if you went directly through us.
Cool. So, oh, hey, Samantha, how are you? Yes, we met at SUIT. How are you? That's great if your essay is longer than what I said. That's totally fine. I love reading those, so don't worry about it. So there's, it says that your pre-screen is pending because it's missing 1 thing. Do I have access to the pre-screen, or is this 1 artistic letter holding up everything? So I believe I have access to the pre-screen, but that will hold up the acceptance to the university. So we can't send anything out until the application is complete. I hope that answers your question, but we can certainly move forward, I think, without having everything, we can look at your pre-screen. If Common App asks for artistic letters, resumes, and records, do we need to submit those again to the Hartt portal? Chris, I'll let you.
No. No, if you're submitting everything with your Common App, it will all move over into our system. So you'll be all set.
Okay, so Rachel's asking, can you clarify the deadline for the pre-screen video application? So we're going to ask for a deadline of December 15th if you're just applying straight ahead. But if you will go to the next page,
Yes.
there are a couple of external auditions that we're doing. And if you happen to be affiliated with CAP, which is in Atlanta, or Moonifieds, which is in Dallas, or Music Theater Kansas City, you can use those auditions as your pre-screen, because I will be attending all of those. But it might be that we say, that was great, but could you also send us a dance video? So we might have additional pre-screen videos required. So I hope that answers your question about the December 15 deadline. Can you go back one, Chris? That would be awesome. Because I don't know, did we talk about the required materials?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Okay, at the open house, they said the deadline is November 1st. Robin, do you know anything about that?
Yep, that was what we were talking about, but Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, what we just discussed that was then pushed further, correct?
Yeah, yes, it's been pushed for at least for music theater pre-screens to December 15th.
Good, so Rachel, you have a little bit more time than you thought. I hope that's a good thing. Cool, all right. So we might have some additional appointments in March. Those would be, you know, if you didn't get into your first choice schools and you would like to be considered at Hartt, you could maybe do a late application there. So keep that in mind as you're going through this process, which I know is super stressful and insane. So keep smiling. And it will all work out the way it is supposed to work out.
Awesome.
Lucy, Jacob, Tommy, Eliana, any last minute words? Oh, this is awesome. Answer this question if you would. Can the theater students be friends with students who are non-theater majors?
Eliana goes,
You can be, but it is rare and far between. We have actually, that's wrong of me to say. We have people in our program who are members of frats and sororities who have friends that way. You take classes with other undergraduate majors and you can make friends that way. I still keep in touch with someone who was in one of my on-campus classes. He became a really good friend of mine. He graduated this past year. So the majority of your friends will be Hartt Theater students, but you can be friends with other people. There's no hard rule against not being friends with people.
yeah, I met a lot of people made lasting friends through their roommates on campus, and I made a lot of friends and have a lot of friends from my work study job. I work at the music library, so I meet a lot of cool people who aren't even musicians or have other disciplines at the Hartt School, and that's really cool. And they're still my friends. We still talk all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, my roommate freshman year was a non-music theater major, and we still keep in touch. She's super awesome. I just made that face because we have so few classes on main campus that sometimes it can be hard because we're with each other so often. But there's definitely, if you meet someone that's cool, follow them on Instagram, Snapchat, hang out. Yeah, it's fun.
Oh yeah, we should say that. We're in our very own Performing Arts Center, which is about a mile or so from the campus. And there's a shuttle that goes back and forth from the main campus to the Performing Arts Center, which we commonly refer to as HPAC, which stands for Handel Performing Arts Center. And that's where all your acting, singing, dancing classes are. And then the main campus is where you have things like English and psychology and math and that sort of thing. And the dorms are over there as well. So a lot of students have cars. So if you can do the shuttle or hitch a ride with a student. And what else have I forgotten? I'm sure I've forgotten stuff. These were great questions, by the way, that you all were asking. Which math class did you end up taking?
Well, moments before this very seminar, I went my way through an accounting quiz. And now I'm also taking modeling with elementary functions, which, despite its condescendingly hard name, is really just algebra. So the math classes are not unbearable, and you need not be afraid of finding a class that you can understand and excel in.
I did also want to say, in answer to the question about making friends outside, Tommy is a very talented French horn player, and he actually played in the pit for one of our shows. You played for Brigadoon, right? So I don't know, were the music students nice to you? Did you make some friends there?
Yeah, actually, so I knew the conductor of the Hartt Orchestra from high school. And so when I got here, I played in the orchestra and I made friends with all the orchestra kids and music majors. And I know my freshman year, we had ear training and music theory on main campus. So I made a lot of friends and music majors that way. But yeah, it's a really awesome, accepting area. So.
And there's also an improv troupe and a cappella group. So there's lots of ways to meet some other people. Here's a question about housing. The freshmen and sophomores live on campus, and then talk about the off-campus housing. You all are living in, Eliana, where are you? You're filming from your house.
Yes, I'm at home in Connecticut. Yeah, a lot of times juniors and seniors will move off campus. There's a lot of great areas. I live in a town called Bloomfield, which is so nice and so like towny feely. It's like really cool. So yeah, it's normal to move off, but I believe it is guaranteed. Like you don't have to leave campus.
Tommy, where do you live? Are you at home?
I have an off-campus apartment with some other fellow MTs.
Awesome. That's a cool thing behind you. Is that a poster or artwork?
Tapestry from my bedroom.
Cool. Very cool. Well, any other questions? I'm trying to think. We do try to bring in guest artists. We're only about 2.5 hours from New York and about 2 hours from Boston. So it's a great location. And favorite clubs or student-run groups. Well, we have a group called the Artists of Color Alliance, and that is made up of students of color and allies within the department. And that is an official student group. And the a cappella group, I think, is a great one. And the improv group is great. I don't know, are there others, any others that I'm not thinking about?
I would say, I don't know that these constitute official clubs, but there are a lot of seniors honor projects that happen that are extracurricular in nature, a la a club. So for example, our sophomore year, one of our good friends did a Saturday Night Live sketch comedy sort of project. So she and I both wrote for it, we directed, we acted in it, and it's super fun. It's just like a club, and there's lots of opportunities like that through the school.
I'm directing or choreographing a take on a Harry Potter musical next semester. So.
Oh, very cool.
And
yeah, I didn't mention honors. Are you doing that through honors, or you're just doing that for fun?
I was gonna do it through honors, but now we're just doing it for fun because circumstantially we're unsure how to go about it, but
right,
we want to do it, so we're going to do
it. If you're a good student, you're welcome to be a part of the honors college, which is basically just you would take classes that you normally would take and you take an honors section of them, and then after you've done 5 classes you get to do an honors project, and that can really be anything. You can direct something, you could do an evening of choreographed works. We've had students create their own pieces, write their own songs, do an evening of poetry. Really could be anything.
Tracy, I'm just going to say really quickly, if anyone has questions or wants to get in touch with the Hartt admission team, and you need help with your application or anything like that, I'm just going to put our email address in the chat so you have it.
That is great. And I think our time is pretty much up anyway. So I don't know, I need to let these people get to rehearsal. So we'll say goodbye and thank you so much. You are awesome.
And
Have fun.
can I just say that if anybody wants to reach out personally who didn't get their questions in, look us up on Facebook, on Instagram, send us an email. If you want to email Tracy, I give you permission to give out my Hartford email.
Okay.
And if there's something, you know, that you didn't think of tonight that you want to later down the road, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help however.
Screenshot our little names.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm putting my email in the chat as well in case anyone wants to reach out that way. But yeah, cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed meeting my fabulous students. People always ask me, what's your favorite thing about Hartt? It's the students. They are gold. So anyway, maybe you'll become one of the Hartt students. We'll see. How do you apply for the honors program? Oh, okay, let me just answer that real quick. You'll be invited to join based on your GPA, test scores, class rank. It's kind of a mix of all of those things. So if you're doing test optional, it's no problem. They'll just use some other number to come at it and invite you to be part of the honors program. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Are we good, Chris? Robin, we good? All right, we'll say goodbye. Thank you for coming.
Thank you all so much.
Bye.